I am not a medical professional and nothing in this video is to be construed as medical advice. I'm merely reading articles and playing videos of people who have medical opinions. You have to do what's right for you. If you're out camping or you've hit hard times and there's no potable water anywhere to be found, just take your solar cooker with you, dip it in a lake, stream, or pond, open it up, put it out in the sun, and within hours you're going to have potable, sterilized drinking water. My link for your massive discount is in the description below. All right, so I wanted to show you this. This was pretty interesting to me. The name of the guy that you're going to hear talking is, here, I'll show you right here. It's Dr. Larry Palevsky, and this is his testimony in opposition to HB 5044 in Connecticut. Connecticut Public Health Committee hearing on HB 544, the removal of the religious exemption to vaccination. Notice how they had to do it here on Instagram so they don't get censored. The testimony went out for 22 hours. This is only 28 minutes of it. I'm not going to play this 28-minute of it. I'm going to play the 4-minute clip of it. But listen to what this guy says. Very interesting.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you heard earlier that there's no real concern about aluminum because it's such a small amount, and so it really shouldn't matter. But the kind of aluminum that we put into vaccines is a different kind of aluminum that we see environmentally. This is called a nanoparticle, and nanoparticles bind really tightly to the bacteria antigens, the virus antigens, the food protein antigens, and any other contaminants that are in the vaccines that we may not know about. And we know that the biochemical properties of nanoparticles is that they are capable of entering the brain. And so we have not evaluated the safety of the aluminum nanoparticle and its injection and where it goes when it gets into the body and whether it gets into the brain. Do vaccine ingredients belong in the brain? No. Do they get into the brain? No one has ever studied it, but animal studies.
Do vaccine ingredients belong in the brain, he said. The answer is how can you hope to keep vaccine ingredients out of the brain when it goes into the bloodstream and your brain needs blood? I know there's a blood-brain barrier and all that kind of stuff, but how can you hope to keep these ingredients out once the injection goes in? That's why I say when you get injected, you can't go back. You can't get uninjected. So when you make the decision to roll up your sleeves and get that shot, think about that before you roll up your sleeves.
Using the same chemicals that are in vaccines that we give to children directly demonstrate that the vaccine ingredients do enter the brain. We are ignoring this information. There are scientists in Europe who've actually done studies on the aluminum nanoparticle and have shown that it can persist in the brain for years and decades. And so what we're seeing is a large outbreak of neurodevelopmental disabilities in adults, including Alzheimer's. And one of the main factors that they're finding in the brains of people with Alzheimer's is the aluminum nanoparticle that's directly related to the vaccines that we're giving. So we have never studied whether the aluminum that we're giving in vaccines gets into the brain, and we've never measured whether it stays in the brain and what it does if it does stay in the brain. But we do know that vaccines are supposed to cause inflammation in the body. But we have more than half of our children with chronic inflamed conditions. And we've never allowed ourselves to ask the question, if the vaccines cause inflammation acutely, do they continue to create inflammation chronically? We have 1 in 5 with neurodevelopmental disabilities, 1 in 10 with ADD and ADHD, 1 in 35 with autism, 1 in 11 with asthma, and 1 in 20 under the age of 5 with seizures. And the autoimmune diseases are exponentially rising, and we are finding that the viruses and the bacteria that we're injecting into the body, along with the adjuvants, create something called molecular mimicry, which means the body sees those viruses thinking that it's foreign, but actually finds pieces of those viruses that match pieces of the self. And the immune system doesn't differentiate between what it's been told to reject and itself. So it will turn.
Man, if that alone, if just that was all that was wrong with vaccines, that's all you need to know that you don't need that foreign agent in your body. You don't need that in the bodies of your children or anybody that you love. If that's all that was wrong with the vaccines, and from what I'm understanding, from what I'm reading, from the fruit of my research, that ain't all that's wrong with vaccines. There's a boatload of things wrong. There's a boatload of ingredients that you don't need to be putting in your body.
The immune system on itself leading to an autoimmune condition. We know this about hepatitis B, we know it about the Gardasil vaccine, and we know it about the flu vaccine. And we continue to say unequivocally that the vaccines have been studied effectively and that they're safe, and that's just not true.
Wow. Here's the link in the chat room if you want to watch the rest of this. Actually, you know what? I have not watched this entire 28-minute video, but there it is for you too. That's the entire 28-minute video from Instagram featuring this particular guy. This is something else that I saw today that we need to bring to the forefront and add to the pool of human knowledge. This guy right here, this is from covexit.com. covexit.com. I'm going to drop this link in the chat room too so you can read along, or if you want to read the entire thing, because I'm not going to go over the entire thing. I'm just going to read some high points. Yeah, Billy P just dropped a diamond and said aborted fetal cells. Yeah, guys, they admit to all this. You know, I bet you anything most people don't know that vaccines contain aborted fetal cells. I bet most people do not know that. Still, you know, it's kind of, we kind of do ourselves a great disservice. One of the last things that we want to do is lock ourselves in our own echo chamber where we're constantly hearing our own rhetoric come back at us from other people. But we kind of do ourselves a great disservice, not in that we tell the truth and we want to surround ourselves with people who also tell the truth and desire the truth, but we do ourselves a great disservice by, I don't know, you don't mean to construct a bubble around yourself, but somehow you end up doing that. And then you kind of insulate and isolate yourself from other people. And you kind of take it as oh, of course people know that there are aborted fetal cells. Of course people know that there are DNA altering materials in these vaccines. Guys, most people don't know that. Most people don't know. They have never heard the phrase left versus right paradigm lie. Most people don't even know what the Federal Reserve does. They don't know that they're being economically raped, even though they should. They don't know they're being economically raped every single day by the IRS and the IMF and by foreign entities, foreign banking entities. So of course they don't know what's in the vaccine, even though they can look, all you have to do is type in vaccine ingredients or vaccine, what is that called? The ingredient paper, whatever that paper is that comes with all vaccines. This guy says, we know it's curable. It's easier than treating the flu. Professor Thomas Borody. Australian radio host Luke Bona interviewed this August 12th Professor Thomas Borody from the Center of the Digestive Disease in Sydney, Australia, about ivermectin-based therapies for COVID-19. The interview is short and to the point and should be of interest to anyone around the world. Based on the existing research and his analysis of therapeutic results using ivermectin in combination with two other widely available generic drugs, doxycycline and zinc, he asserts that COVID-19 is now curable and even easier to treat than the flu. This is this doctor asserting this. Okay, this isn't me saying this. This isn't me making this up. If this ends up on YouTube, I'm not saying this. I'm just reading this article from this website, covexit.com. Here's some excerpts. We came up with a treatment that is simple, safe, and can get rid of the coronavirus in almost all patients treated within 6 to 10 days. Let's say you didn't believe this. Let's say you didn't believe one word this guy says and you're Anderson Cooper or you're Dr. Sanjay Gupta or Jake Tapper or Brian Stelter or Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson, whoever. Pick your flavor of mainstream media pundits. Let's say you didn't believe this. Wouldn't you at least investigate it? There's a doctor that says, we came up with a treatment that's simple, safe, and can get rid of the coronavirus in almost all patients treated within 6 to 10 days. Wouldn't you at least try to unearth as much information as you could about it? Try to debunk it, whatever. Just go out of your way to try to find out if that one statement, that sentence is true for the sake of the human race. If you were a true journalist, why wouldn't you do this? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It can treat and get rid within 6 days, 6 to 10 days, the coronavirus. It's an easy, very easy virus to cure. These are excerpts. That's why it's sounding all choppy. When you combine the dosage we have described, because it inhabits the growth of the bug, it just goes away and you no longer find it in an infected person. Question, why aren't we treating every elderly person in every health care facility and every aged care facility with this? There is no drug. His answer was there's no drug company behind it. There's no money in it. If we cure people, you can't make money. Only sick people make money. So the pharmaceutical companies, the biotech companies, and the government are incentivized to keep people sick, to keep people in fear. There's no incentive to get people cured because you don't make money with people who are healthy. They have to be sick and they got to be on their knees and begging for a solution from the government. And the solution from the government, of course, is going to be, here, take this pill. Here, take this Bill Gates funded vaccine. Here, let's go to Gavi. Let's go to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There's no money in curing people. So their solution isn't a cure. Their solution is, hey, we're going to make a whole boatload of money on this. There's no drug company behind it. There are no people who are lobbying government and giving donations for re-elections and so forth. I don't know the answer. Well, you just gave the answer. That's why. That's why they're not treating the elderly with it. That's why they're not treating people who are dying with this stuff. So there's no incentive for government or the big pharma companies or the biotech companies. There's no incentive for Joe Biden. There's no incentive for Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or Donald Trump or Mike Pence to come up with a cure because that's not going to make them money. That's not going to make people clamor to them. You'd think it would. You would think Donald Trump would go, hey, let's investigate this. Let's do this. And some people would go, well, he did with hydrochloroquine, but they made fun of him and they tore him down. There's no drug company behind it. There are no people who are lobbying the government and giving donations for re-election. It also happens when I developed the therapy for H. pylori infection because there was no company behind it. It took 26 years. These people who otherwise would now be dying from bleeding ulcers stopped bleeding, stopped dying. And that right there is what pisses me off about fake stream media. That's what pisses me off about MSLSD and Rachel Madcow. It's what pisses me off about the Communist News Network, the Counterfeit News Network with Jakey Tapper, and all the other clowns, all the other clowns from that network. It's what pisses me off about Sean Hannity. They could get this stuff out, but they don't. It also happened when I developed the Tritherapy. You know what? Tritherapy. Where have I heard that? Tritherapy. That's what Rashid Buttar talks about. He talks about a tritherapy for H. pylori infection because there was no company behind it. It took 26 years. Those people who otherwise would now be dying from bleeding ulcers stopped bleeding, stopped dying. This is the same sort of situation. I think it's hard to get traction when there is no big payback, no payout to a large company. Billy P just dropped a diamond and said, Cenomix is aborted fetal cells in food as well. Cenomix? Cenomix? Let me look that up real quick. Cenomix, Wikipedia. It's an American biotechnology company working toward developing additives to amplify certain flavors and smells in foods. The company claims to have essentially reverse engineered the receptors in humans that react for taste and aroma, and that they are capitalizing on these discoveries to produce chemicals. Let's see, what is Cenomix? Products work by amplifying the intensity of flavors. Yeah, but what is it? What is it? History. Founded by a prominent biochemist, Lubert Stryer, in 1999. HEK293 cells are a cell line widely used in biological and medical research, immortalized through genetic modification removed from the original human embryonic kidney cells taken from a healthy, electively aborted human fetus in the early 1970s. Bingo. Look at that, man. This is from Wikipedia, guys. And you know how far you can trust Wikipedia, but check this. I would like to do some more research on this. Thanks, Billy P. Cenomix. Cenomix. Let me get this in frame for you guys so you can see it. I love learning new stuff, man. Look at this. I'm reading right here. HEK 293 cells are a cell line. Okay, so wait. Cenomix develops patented flavor enhancers by using proprietary taste receptor-based assay systems, which have been previously expressed in human cell culture in HEK 293 cells. HEK is human embryonic kidney 293 cells, often referred to as HEK 293 and all these other things, or less precisely as HEK cells, are a specific cell line originally derived from human embryonic kidney cells grown in tissue culture taken from an aborted female fetus. Female fetus. And they're using that as a proprietary taste receptor-based assay system for food that tastes better. Oh my God, man. If you ingest that stuff, how can you not call it cannibalism? How can you not call it cannibalism if the cells are from a human tissue? Holy mackerel. Thanks, Billy P. I appreciate you dropping that. None of us is greater than all of us, guys. There you go. There's yet another example of none of us is greater than all of us. While we have time and it still retains some of its perceived value, maybe it'd be a good idea to convert your worthless fiat into valuable, storable food. Don't be the one who waits till the food riots start happening. You don't want to be fighting panicking people in the store over that last jar of peanut butter. At Prepare with HighImpactFlix, you can get up to 3 air and watertight gasket-sealed ammo cans, each filled with a 4-week emergency supply. 7 food varieties, 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and each meal comes in a resealable, heavy-duty 4-layered pouch. And it's got a 25-year shelf life. Every order of a 4-week supply gets you $100 off plus free shipping. Here's how simple it is to make. I'm going to cook up some Granny's home-style potato soup. People are going to think I'm a culinary hero. You open the pouch, boil 4.5 cups of water, stir the contents, simmer on low heat for 15 to 20 minutes, take it off the heat, then let it set for 2 to 3 minutes before you serve it up.
Man, this stuff's so good. People are going to think Granny stopped by and filled your kitchen with a whole bunch of love.
Well, if Granny does stop by, she's going to fill your behind with a whole bunch of buckshot if you keep talking with your mouth full. Wipe your dang beard off. It's embarrassing. So maybe convert some of your worthless fiat into valuable food while you still can. Order now and get $100 off of up to 3 4-week emergency food supplies at preparewithhighimpactflix.com. The link is in the description.